Well, hello. How lovely to see you on this wonderful Wednesday morning. Today's message is called The Professor. Now, the 80s were tough in Ghana. There was shortage of everything. Food, water, jobs, cash, power, sound. Does that sound familiar? Well, whatever you think you're going through right now, let me assure you that the 80s were worse. Especially because we couldn't complain about it. We had a military head of state who didn't allow a free press. There was no opposition party to go on demonstration. We all just had to sit and bear whatever happened to us and hope that whatever solution our leaders, in that case, J.J. Rawlings and his PNDC government chose for us would work. In the end, they chose to run to the IMF for help. I'm sure that sounds familiar too. And indeed, after some years, things did improve, but believe me, they got much worse before they started to get better. Now, those IMF years were the toughest. Under military rule, the government does practically everything, provides everything, buys and sells everything, and employs practically everyone. So when the government can't spend, you can imagine how tight a squeeze that is on our people. It wasn't easy, but eventually we made it through to the other side. But how did we do it? How did Ghana persevere through these hardships, through those lean years? How did we keep our spirits up? How did we manage to walk with our heads up without sinking into an impossible fog of national despair? How did we ever manage to smile, to laugh, or even to pray? Well, it's simple. We had hope. And today I want us to remember the man who gave most of that hope to us. Azumah Nelson started off the 80s like most Ghanaians, with defeat. After accomplishing a wonderful record as an amateur boxer, winning 50 fights and losing only one, Azumah had started his professional boxing career with a great deal of promise, winning all 13 of his professional fights. Now, a sudden opportunity to fight the world champion presented itself in 1982, when the scheduled challenger dropped out at the last minute. Now, Azumah was quickly rushed in as a replacement, and in spite of his unpreparedness, stood toe-to-toe with the champion Salvador Sanchez for 15 full rounds of excellent boxing before he was stopped. Sanchez sadly died in a car accident less than a month after that fight, and Azumah never had a chance to try again. In a decade like the 80s, this sort of defeat would have killed the spirits of the most hardened fighter, but not Azumah. He just went off and beat up 6 other boxers in merciless succession, gaining himself a second chance to fight the world featherweight champion once again. Now, this time, the title was held by the remarkably fast and hard-hitting Wilfredo Gomez. Now, this was the first boxing bout I ever watched in my life. My entire family crowded around our black and white television in Cape Coast at 2 a.m. on a Saturday morning to watch a Ghanaian make a second attempt at a world boxing title against an opponent most believed would be tougher to beat than the previous champion. Now, for 11 long rounds, Gomez boxed and moved, bobbing and weaving across the ring. Azumah kept his guard up and kept coming forward, dropping jab after solid jab on target. Now, each one stung the champion painfully, and the champion kept moving, hoping to avoid the next one. But like the Terminator, Azumah just kept coming forward. Whenever he got the chance, Gomez would throw a combination of those lethal punches he had used to knock out the previous champion Juan Laporte just 9 months earlier. But Azumah kept on coming, soaking up Gomez's blows and returning solid, accurate jabs for 10 rounds. Now, in round 11, Azumah unleashed an overhand right, which opened up the already battered flesh around the champion's mouth. Now, pressing home his advantage, Azumah unleashed a flurry of blows in a follow-up attack which gave Gomez no space to breathe, let alone move. Suddenly, Gomez went down. And in our house, everybody leapt from their seats. We all thought the fight was over. But the champ was tough, and he bounced back up. Now, in my living room, it suddenly seemed as if Azumah winning this fight had become the most important thing in the world to us. It was as if our fortunes were somehow tied to his. And if he managed to beat the world champion, we also could beat any obstacle, any circumstance that life threw at us. Azumah had to win. My parents, my uncle, my sister, my cousins, the house help and I all started cheering Azumah on. And that was when I heard it. At first, I thought it was just an echo, but then I realized it was a familiar hum coming from every other house in my neighborhood. It seemed the whole community was awake, watching our fellow Ghanaian representing us on the world stage and needing him to win. The referee checked Gomez over and he was fine, so he stepped out of the way for the fight to continue. Azumah was waiting in the center of the ring, standing very still with his guard halfway down. Gomez took 2 steps towards him and the professor exploded. 2 quick punches, a sharp left hook and a straight right to the jaw. Gomez's knees buckled, his legs folded under him, his eyes rolled into the back of his head, and he flopped onto the canvas like a sack of cocoyams. At that moment, the whole nation rose to its feet, shouting in one voice, our boy had done it! With single-minded determination and dogged perseverance, a desire to win which had made him impervious to the world champion's heaviest blows, Azumah Nelson had triumphed, and in that moment had brought a crippled nation back to its feet. Suddenly our hardships didn't matter. Our obstacles were beatable. Our hunger didn't hurt. We had hope, and there was nothing we couldn't do. Throughout the 80s, Azumah fought several more times, and Ghana watched him win every single fight on our TVs. Usually because he himself paid for GBC to have the broadcasting rights. Now, each win boosted the nation's morale. Each knockout made us all believe that we also could persevere until the next fight. Now, to this day, a certain generation of Ghanaians still refer to every fight or contest between 2 evenly matched opponents as Azumah and Gomez. Today, as we mark Ghana Month on Joy, we celebrate the Professor, Azumah Nelson, one of the greatest Ghanaians of all time. My name is Kujo Yankson, and I'm a Ghanaian. That means I can take the punches because I know victory is on the other side. Good morning, Ghana.
Moving on, biomedical engineers calling for a policy to include professionals in the discipline in Ghana's health workforce. Dr. Yakub Ahmed of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology wants a national council established to regulate the field. He was speaking at the 2nd National Biomedical Engineering Conference that took place in Kumasi.
The role of biomedical engineers in enhancing healthcare cannot be underestimated.
Trained and qualified biomedical engineering professionals are required within the health system that we know. But the biomedical engineering professional is, however, not included in the official definition of the health workforce or policy framework. And it's high time we start. Yes, the clinical engineer, he has been pushing hard to get things settled, but he's not the final say, he's not the authority. We still have to fight for the biomedical engineer to have his place. Just as we have Medical and Dental Council, Nurses Council, the biomedical engineering needs its own agenda. The biomedical engineering needs its own agenda.
The meeting was under the theme addressing local healthcare needs through biomedical engineering innovations. Biomedical Engineering Students Coordinator KNUST, Dr. Isaac Akwa, observes most of imported equipment are unsuitable for local needs. He urges scientists and students to identify healthcare challenges related to the expertise and find innovative ways of addressing them.
We need to work with the relevant stakeholders to be able to understand the problems so that we can come out with engineering solutions that are adapted to meet the problems that the care providers are facing.
Deputy Director of Ghana Health Service, Dr. Nicholas Ajabu, believes the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals will largely depend on contribution of the biomedical engineers.
Everybody living in Ghana, irrespective of where you are, have access to healthcare. And SDG targets and goals also mandate the government of Ghana to ensure that everywhere you live, you have access to health, and that's the universal health coverage.
The two-day meeting brought together stakeholders in the industry and students to deliberate, among other things, new developments in the field. They are expected to come up with drafts for protocols to make biomedical engineering a force to be reckoned with. Dr. Ahmed argues the role of biomedical engineers in it.
We have to still remain in the Ashanti region, and work has stalled on the Adjoso-Donaso Bridge project as thieves stole controller boards, injectors and pumps of 3 excavators. 3 bridges linking Adjoso to Donaso and others have broken down for over the past 2 years. As a result, motorists and commuters have had to truncate their journeys on one side of the collapsed bridges and subsequently continue in another vehicle on the other side.
Residents of communities in the enclave, reconstruction of the bridges began about a year ago. Work was scheduled to have been completed and the road reopened to traffic, but the disappearance of excavator parts means further delay. As police begin investigations into the incident, MPP youth in the area say they suspect sabotage. Organizer Henry Diabuate says they are working with the police to identify the perpetrators and bring them to book. It comes as police have picked up a security guard for questioning.
And there were a whole lot of insults at the presidency, at the member of parliament, especially the member of parliament being at the road ministry. And presidency heard our voices. And then the road was given to a contractor. Kofi Job came to site, did everything he could. We now have just 3 days for him to finish filling the approaches and everything, only for us to hear that some bad nuts in the system have stolen some of the parts of the excavators they are using. It's very pathetic.
What are these parts?
Okay, I heard, since I'm not a technocrat myself, I heard parts like the control board and the pump. And everybody knows that these are the major parts of the excavator.
And how many of them?
3 excavators as we speak. And this has brought the work to a standstill. Police, we know there are some saboteurs. There are people who don't want the government to progress. There are people who always want the name of the member of parliament to be insulted. There are people who think the downfall of the member of parliament will help them progress. This wouldn't work. We are signing a word of caution to those people that the people of Adjoso constituency, we need the bridge badly. And for that matter, the perpetrators, they should put a stop to it. We are appealing to the contractor to come to our aid.
After
Let's take you to the Upper West region, where all 12 aspirants who have filed to contest the April 25 parliamentary primaries of the governing New Patriotic Party in the region are upbeat or confident about their chances in the election. Now, 5 incumbent members of parliament who are seeking re-election say, considering the tremendous development they've brought to their respective constituencies, they are of the conviction that ultimately they will emerge the victors during the April 25 primaries. Their contenders, however, are very confident the incumbent MPs have lost touch with the people, as a result need to be voted out. Our correspondent Rafiq Salam was at the vetting of these 12 aspirants and brings you the report.
Supporters of the 12 aspirants who filed to contest the April 25 primaries an hour to the start of the vetting had covered every inch of space on the walkways at Upland Hotel. For some of the supporters, victory is already on hand and they blow the horns of their vehicles and took a victory lap inside the hotel. Interior Minister Ambrose Derry was the first to meet the vetting committee, and he was grilled for close to 40 minutes. He's gone unopposed in the London constituency.
You have to be humble in life. I am happy that I'm going solo. I see it as a blessing from God. I prayed for it and it has come. I think that I'm grateful for that. I want to believe that my people have confidence in me, and therefore it means that I should never let them down, and I'm praying to God never to let them down. It's a privilege to go solo.
Deputy Minister of Roads and Highways Anthony Abayefakabo has unmatched reputation and legislative experience than his contender Joseph Wilson Donta, who many sees as running for the records.
And the change we are expecting will happen, the development will come, the educational infrastructure will come, our water policy will be in place, the bridge will be in place, technical education will be in place, and more importantly, all communities in Laura are currently being connected to the national grid. Contractors are working, so there's a lot happening. Even in the stronghold of the NDC, we are providing them electricity they have denied the people in the last 40 years.
Nicknamed as the Sisal East Mercy, Ridwan Abbas Zauda has lots of confidence of retaining the seat for the MPP should he be given the nod in the April 25 primary.
And I can tell you, if you go around Sisal East, projects are dotted all over the constituency.
Yes.
So we are going to use those projects to campaign.
And accountable.
And we are going to win. We are not going to promise. We are not promising that we move beyond promises. The job is on the ground. You can go and see.
Yes.
Wonderful. So would you want to change a scorer and bring somebody who can score a goal?
No.
So we want to come and score more.
His opposite number is the Deputy Apostle Regional Minister Amiduchine Isaku.
I will want to work hard so that I can empower the youth and women. I will lobby for employment for those who have certificate and want government employment. Wherever possible, I will do that. And also try to support those who want to get into private sector initiatives. You have NEP, you have Maslock, and other government initiatives.
Musician turned politician Godfrey Bayon Tango remains the man to beat in the West constituency.
At least through certain lobbyings and all that, now a number of our roads and our rivers are being done by the central government. So we have to be around. We have to be around to monitor and to make sure that these projects get to a successful conclusion. Because if you lobby for a project, then halfway you throw it away into other people's hands, they are likely to suffer a performance. 3
other people, 2 of whom are political rookies, are jockeying to flame out his ambition. Former Sasala West District Chief Executive Salif Nelwe Balwe has more supporters and arguably more delegates than any other venue. He received rapturous reception, eclipsing even that of the incumbent MP Patrick Adama Al-Hassan. Reporting for J News, Rafiq Salam. Wah.
And talking about all the updates on the April 25 primaries of the MPP, get all that right here on the channel. Also, where you can get the update on the related issues of health is what's happening with the infections and the rates and how countries are combating the coronavirus. Now, straight away, let's take you to our infographics page, and this is the epicenter. And the cases are apparently rising, have been rising over the last 24 hours. And we go to China, you get also to find that 80,270 confirmed cases so far. But again, what the observation is that the fatalities as well as the rate of increment of the cases as they've been trickling in have been reducing as compared to what the situation was in January. It also gives indication that the authorities seem to be doing something right in relation to how fast the deaths were being recorded, the rate of the infection as well. But it also speaks tremendously about efforts that have been made by not only the various health systems in, let's say, Korea, where we have the increased cases now pegged at 5,328 confirmed cases with 32 reported deaths, but also Japan, which has 282 confirmed cases and 6 fatalities so far, and Taiwan, just neighboring Hong Kong, and also China with some 42 and 100 cases respectively. But this is what the situation is in Asia. If you go further, Malaysia down there has some 36 cases. Singapore has increased because the last time we looked at it, that would be 3 days ago, that would be on Monday, we reported to you 106 cases in the economic hub of Asia, 106 cases in Singapore. And by the close of the evening on Monday, we had reported 108, and now we have 110 cases. So far, no deaths reported. But Singapore is quite a peculiar situation because of the number of people who tend to travel in and also travel out of the country because of many economic reasons. It's a big hub. That island country is a big country in that literal sense. Now, let's move on, go to the southeast section of the country, and you go to Nepal, you go to India, 5 confirmed cases still. We have 1 in Nepal, 43 in Thailand. You go up, Afghanistan has 1, Pakistan has 5. And let's go through to the Middle East, and it's where we have some of the biggest oil production countries in the world. And we'll center into the Middle East properly. We'll center it for you. And look, the biggest case that has been reported outside China, closer to the continent of Asia, the Middle East, is Iran. Iran has an interesting story. They had their deputy health minister infected. Now they have some 23 other members of parliament of that country who are infected. They are part of some 2,336 confirmed cases so far. Now, this data we're giving you is real-time data, okay? You click it, you also get to find that 76 reported deaths so far have been reported. You go down Kuwait, a big oil production country, 56 confirmed cases. Bahrain, 49. The United Arab Emirates, where many of us tend to go for holidays, we spend 3,000, 5,000 USD from Ghana, Accra to Dubai, and 27 confirmed cases. But it's also because it's a route where they tend to have a lot of transitions of flights into other countries of the world using the popular Etihad Airlines or Airways, and then also, of course, the one I love, Emirates. Emirates, good one there. But down there we have Oman, 12 cases. Saudi Arabia has 1. Qatar has 8 confirmed cases. When you go to Israel, 10 confirmed cases. Neighboring them is Jordan with a confirmed case. Lebanon is up there with some 13 cases. And Iraq, you can't believe it, Iraq has some 26 confirmed cases. No deaths so far, though. You go up and then you head towards Europe. Now, Greece, because of the increase in the number of travelers there, is a big tourist country. You have 7 confirmed cases. A lot of cruise ships along the coast of Greece. They have 7 confirmed cases. 1 in North Macedonia, 3 in Romania, 1 in Ukraine, 9 in Croatia. Austria has 24. But look, the epicenter for the disease in Europe is Italy. 2,502 confirmed cases. The cases keep increasing. 79 deaths so far. And you will remember when we come to the case in Africa, we had that confirmed case coming from Italy into Lagos, the Murtala Airport, and that's where they reported. So let's just give you what the situation is in Europe. You got to find 188 cases in Germany. Germany is a big economic hub in Europe, one of the most productive economies you will find in Europe, and they have 188 confirmed cases. Portugal, though, has 2 confirmed cases, but neighboring Portugal is Spain. You get to Spain, they have 151 confirmed cases, 1 reported death so far. And talking about where we have to move next is France. And France up there, before you go, you have to go through Bilbao, Bordeaux, make entry into Paris. And the latest we're getting from France, based on real-time data we're giving you, is that 212 confirmed cases are there in that great country. 4 reported deaths so far. And let's go south. That's where we get to Northern Africa. Look, as at yesterday, we only had cases in Algeria, Egypt, and Nigeria. Now we have 2 more reported cases in 2 more other countries. We have Morocco, then we also do have Tunisia. Okay, so we have a confirmed case in Morocco, confirmed case in Tunisia. We also do have the cases increasing from 3 days ago in Algeria to 5 confirmed cases in Algeria. And then we do have 2 others from the first. So we have an additional one in Egypt as well. And south of the Sahel, we have 1 in Nigeria. And then Senegal is reporting a case as well. It brings the numbers to 1, 2, 7. We do have 8. And then, of course, 10. So 10 confirmed cases in Africa. That sums up the situation of the coronavirus. Now, when we click on this, it gives you a rundown of what the entire cases are in the world. And this is where you can get all the latest if you want to get educated and also update yourself as to what really is happening. China has those over 80,000 cases. Then we have South Korea following through with some 5,000, Italy 2,000, and then we have Iran with some 2,336. Now, among them are 23 members of parliament, and of course, a deputy health minister also who has been infected. But please, make sure that you go to infographics at that Asian News channel and get all the latest when it comes. And talking about the channels and all the things that you can get, myjoyonline.com is always available for you, and My Joy Online TV on YouTube is there. Now let's do the news review. It's not next. Oh, the Kojo is here. Kojo, how are you? Good morning. Yeah, let me give you some of the newspapers you have to take this one. This one.
I see. Okay.
I will do the rest.
All right.
Take this one.
Okay.
All right. Good morning to all of you.
Hi. Well, we've got lots of papers. Maybe we'll do the headlines real quick and then...
Yeah, definitely. It's a birthday of a good friend of mine, works with the Graphic Communications Group. Moses, you're based in Takrady. Moses Aklopo too. Have a great, happy birthday.
If somebody celebrated their birthday last week, is it too late for me to wish them belated happy birthday?
It's not late. I even have yesterday. I forgot, so I'll mention that. You go.
All right. Belated happy birthday to Shirley Timbila, a.k.a. Cookie T of Star FM. Why are you smiling?
Because I saw you on KOD status.
Yes.
Right? You did a voiceover or something. You recorded it. I said Kojo at his best.
Uzumu. Anyway, it was her birthday.
The chick fire off.
I tell you no lie. Okay, but we have papers. Let's get to them. And the Ghanaian Observer, the Finder, the Publisher, the Times, the Daily Statesman, and the Daily Graphic are mine this morning. You have the rest, right?
Yes.
Shall I start?
Predictably.
Okay. All right. The Ghanaian Observer has these. Airbus scandal. Deputy AG dares Mahama. Also on the front, EC cleared over alleged procurement breach. And no amount of resistance will stop Unipass, Deputy Finance Minister. Also, alleged lotto fraudster grabbed, and there's a picture of him on the front page. On the back, 3 sports stories. Andre Ayew remains Black Stars captain, according to CK Akuno. Jordan Ayew tips Crystal Palace for strong PL finish. And Klopp on shock Liverpool loss. The Finder has government chases Airbus bribe suspects on the front page. Writes to UK Serious Fraud Office for names. Also, no amount of resistance will stop Unipass rollout. That's according to Gwewu Kwarteng, the Deputy Minister for Finance. The typical bullish, bloody-mindedness of the government when it comes to positions that they have already taken and feedback that doesn't approve of those positions. Government pushes laws for automotive industry and hearing loss not receiving the needed attention, according to an audiologist. Nothing on the back of the Finder, but I have the Publisher this morning. And $92.97 million free chop Unipass contract shocks the world. There's a picture of Nick Danso and Yausa Fumafo on the front page. Government to unmask faces behind Airbus scandal. And that's a story that came from an event yesterday where the Deputy Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Godfrey Dame, made this declaration. Coup plotters sing in court. AG pushes for their committal. And Hole in Heart boy cries for help. That's the Publisher. Guinean Times has a picture of, surprise, surprise, a road accident. 6 die in accident at Obretema. And details are on page 3. But no procurement process breaches at EC is a story with Jean Mensah's picture. Alleged coup plotters committed to stand trial at High Court. Ghana may pay $93 million for Unipass deal if, but Deputy Minister allays fears. And police impound 1,000 motorcycles in Accra. On the back, some development stories. Cenotaph left to rot in squalor at Ho. Oh, that's not development, is it? And UER Customs destroys goods worth 25,300 Ghana cedis. 2 more papers to go. The Statesman has surrender for Airbus probe. And Deputy Attorney General charges at Mahama and allies. No cause for alarm. Health authorities say 33 suspected coronavirus cases have proved negative. And government determined to roll out Unipass, says Kweku Kwating. Ghana's Akwesi Frimpong makes history with first skeleton win is on the back. And Akwesi Frimpong has been at this for a while. And congratulations to him on his first win. Okay, Daily Graphic is the last one from me. Methodist University dragged to court. 32 former employees want benefits paid. And also, Parliament approves $23.98 million waiver for Platinum Properties Limited. MTN launches book. Demonstration was our aim, not coup, according to McPalm, but 10 are to stand trial for treason. On the back, structures on encroached industrial enclave to be demolished, and 3 Chinese arrested for operating quarry illegally. Wow.
All right, so let's go to the Custodian. Has on the front page, your resistance won't stop Unipass, and that's Kweku Kwating, Deputy Finance Minister, tells critics, we're told. Okay. Probe Mohammed's 15.9 ambulances, or $15.9 million ambulances, story attributed to the majority leader. Missile Energy chases debtors, threatens to name and sue. A home festival celebrated at Brekusu. Now, if you get to look at the pictures, majority leader in parliament was there. He apparently is the Sumpahine, which is some people of Brekusu. They celebrated the home festival. Let's go to the Daily Guide. The Daily Guide has on the front page, Deputy Attorney General on Airbus scandal. Full legal process will be used to prosecute all those involved. It'll be a great subject of discussion this morning. So we have our guest in the studio. Man arrested in Kumasi for operating illegal lotto. Makers of Corona beer report $170 million loss after coronavirus outbreak. A lot of losses as well. Also hits is the lobster industry in South Africa, because they tend to do a lot of exportation into China. TV3's Edward Kwabi passes on also on the front page of the Daily Dispatch. May so rest in peace, Edward. We also do have the publisher. Nothing can stop Unipass. Kweku Kwating, the story is on page 3 of the paper. Probe Mahama's $15.9 million ambulance deal majority leader. Also on the side, Fidelity rubbishes Adongo's claim, demands apology, else it is heading to court. Name Ghanaians in Airbus deal. Ghana asks UK's SFO. NDC others to intensify protests against new register. All on the front page of the Ghanaian publisher. Next is the Daily Guide, occupying the front page. €5 million Airbus bribe pops up at AG conference. Attached are pictures of John Mahama, Godfrey Dami. Down there we have President nominates 3 for Supreme Court. They are Clemens Hunyanuga, Justice Tanko Amadou, and Yoni Kolendi. On the side we have Bank deflates Adongo propaganda. I have the Member of Parliament's picture there. Well represented. Up there we have NLA raids Kumasi Lotto fraudsters, and coup plotters wanted to kill Ekufuado. On the back page, I don't want to change much. Akono and the coach of the Blacks are newly appointed, convened a press conference to name the players he has called up. Benedict also will bring you some details, but some of the ones that have been named, many of them we don't know. These days we don't tend to know our players at all, both local and international. We have Richard Ofori, Marisburg. I think I know him. You also know Richard Atta of Hearts of Folk. I know him. There's one called Andiyadom Redding, and then Habib Mohammed Asante Kotoga. Yeah, I know him. Kasim Nuhu, though, plays for Fortuna Düsseldorf in Germany. Ronaldo's mother has suffered a stroke, and this also has been reported in the sports page. She's not a sportswoman, though, by way of association to one of the biggest sports personalities on earth. What else can we expect?
It might affect his form.
Yeah.
So it ends up being a sports story.
Yeah, that's a linkage,
I guess.
For example, if a relative of yours is not well, it will affect your form.
Nobody will care.
I think
we'll care. If a relative of yours is not well, I mean, it will even affect the stock exchange, the Ghana stock exchange.
Nobody will care.
Very important.
All right, so let me do the last one. The Go Street business as uncertainty grips Ghana's port as Unipass trade facilitation system fails to commence. Now, it says uncertainty has gripped stakeholders as Ghana's port of entry as the much anticipated rollout of the Unipass single window system for trade facilitation of the country's port could not come off as expected. The country's various seaports and land borders. And Kuku Kwantine, Deputy Finance Minister Kojo, says that, look, hook or crook, do or die, it will happen. All right.
You done? This story, this Unipass thing, what do you know about it? Like, what is the superior advantage that the Unipass system is bringing to how we do things at the ports?
Okay. I also know that there's a certain chronology to what they were expected to do. Make sure that we get the right sort of revenues. The scanning at the ports in terms of goods that will come in and also go out are very important, so that we get to know the content. That also leads to the right sort of values and ultimately translates to the revenues. And that has been some of the, if you ask me, some of the ultimate benefits that the government has been proposing or propounding since they decided to bring this.
So these are things that we currently are unable to do?
Well, before now we had West Blue. GCNet also was providing these same services. I wouldn't say that they don't do this because.
So what's the new thing? I want to know, like, how are we now better off because Unipass is going to be doing what West Blue?
If you ask me, based on the information I have with friends who work with GCNet, basically they're coming to replicate, do the same thing. if you ask me, but it's a government and
So why are we doing this to ourselves? Because we're going to have to pay off GCNet and West Blue.
Yes.
We're going to have to pay them off. And then we are stuck with Unipass because they have some serious termination clauses. If you end the contract in the first year, you pay over $100 million to them, and every year the amount reduces by a little bit until I think the 10th year or so, when we pay them perhaps $9 million or something like that. I don't remember the exact figures, but basically, if we decide to end the contract with them, it costs us a fortune.
A lot.
But it's the same with West Blue and GCNet.
And currently we have a contract with GCNet up to 2023.
So my understanding is, or what I would like to understand, is why the government says they are pressing on no matter what. Like what would go wrong if they listened to other suggestions? Because that's what Mr. Kweku is saying. He's saying that no amount of resistance will discourage government from rolling out Universal Pass or Unipass. Okay, no amount of resistance. So no matter who objects, they're going to do it, right?
Yes, it will be done.
But why is that a good thing? Why is that a good thing? What is wrong with hearing?
Well, the NDC also did it,
stakeholders?
brought West Blue, so.
Okay, so it's a political thing, like everything else.
It's equalization.
So we are spending all this money because of politics, right? My money.
They bring nothing superior, if you ask me.
My money. Yeah. These parties are spending it to spite each other. And then they'll come and ask me for my vote.
Bring their own investors December. All the time.
I'll be waiting for them. All right.
Well, okay. we have to take a break and bring sports. As the latest we have, and Benedict also is here. Make sure that you do enjoy it. Welcome to the sports segment here on AM Show. My name is Benedict. So we'll go straight into our stories this morning. Yesterday, CK Akono Black Stars coach met the media and announced his 23-man squad for Ghana's doubleheader against Sudan later this month. 23 players, he named 4 local players, 4 debutants, and of course we had the usuals of Andrea Ayew and his brother Jordan Ayew. We'll hear from CK Akono, but quickly we'll go through the list of players that CK Akono has invited for the first time since taking charge as Black Stars coach. So the goalkeepers, 3 goalkeepers, Richard Ofoyi, who plays his club football for Maritzburg, is in. Richard Atta of Accra Hearts of Oak, and then Razak Abalewa of Azam in Tanzania. For the defenders, we have, so there you go, the goalkeepers, Richard Ofoyi, as I mentioned, Razak Abalewa of Azam, and then Richard Atta of Accra Hearts of Oak. The fullbacks, we have Kojo Amakon of Ashanti Gold, who has also received a debut call-up, and Diadom of Reading in England, Gideon Mensah of Zolta Waregem in Belgium, also in the team. For the centre-backs, we have Nicolas Opoku, who has joined Amiens in France on loan from Italy, and then Joseph Edu of Celta de Vigo in the Spanish La Liga, Kasim Nuhu, who is not having much playing time at Fortuna Düsseldorf in Germany, but he happens to be in this squad, which CK Akono justified. Habib Mohamed of Asante Kotoko has also received a debut call-up to the team. And then midfielders, Mubarak Wakasu recently moved to China, Jiangsu, signing Alfred Duncan, Fiorentina in Italy, Idris Subaba of Mallorca in Spain, and then Thomas Partey of Atletico Madrid, Mohamed Kudus, FC Nordsjælland in Denmark. For the wingers, we have Christopher Entry, a J of Paderborn in Germany. Tariq Fosu has received a debut call-up. He plays his club football for Brentford in England. And then Samuel Owusu of Al Fahar FC in Saudi Arabia, and Andrea Ayew, skipper of the team of Swansea City in England. For the forwards, Jordan Ayew of Crystal Palace has been on amazing goal-scoring form this season in the English Premier League. Richmond Boachiadom is back in the team. He plays in Serbia with Red Star Belgrade, and Eugene Ansah of Hapoel Ranana in Israel also has received his debut call-up. Yahya Mohammed is back in the team. He plays for Indiana Stars, and what a season is having here on the local front. Named the player of the month, and also so far has scored 10 goals in the Ghana Premier League. Time to hear from CK Akono. He underscored the importance of his European tour ahead of the naming of the squad yesterday.
With the team, first as an ambassador, as a scout, and as an assistant, and I have an idea, a fair idea of what is going on with us. And so most of our discussion was off the field issues. It's also important for me to have a good chemistry with them, so I did not just go there to watch football matches, also to have a good chemistry. I come with a character that is clear, and it's important that I make them aware of it, even though they might know. And so we had enough discussion, which I think was fruitful. After them, there was a need for me to look at the born European players, which I did. Some of them are eager to come and play. Some of them are not sure because of probably cultural reasons. And so I made it important to them to know that we're looking forward to them. And I must say that if we're able to get those guys, there are names, I think 6 of them, if we're able to get them, the face of our game or the national team will change. It will bring a lot of competition in the team. And so in order to make it short, it went well. I was very happy to have done that. Most of them I saw them play and then speak to them. And I also try as much as I can not to go to them direct, but also to involve their parents, which was very important for me to understand the kind of angle they're coming from, because sometimes you might talk to them and you wouldn't know what they want. I think the parents helped a lot. Some of the ex-players too got themselves involved. The likes of Asian and others also helped. And it all went well. And so I'm glad that I did that test.
Home-based players are in the team. Yeah, Mohamed leads the pack of the 4 home-based players. He's been phenomenal in this season's Ghana Premier League Player of the Month. Last month has scored 10 goals. Habib Mohamed of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, Richard Atta of Accra Hearts of Oak. He's their .1 goalkeeper. And then Kujo Amakon of Ashanti Gold. Well, let's go over to the phone lines and do some more in terms of the squad. Coach J.E. Sapon, veteran coach, joins me. Hi, Coach. Thanks so much for your time here on the show this morning. Good squad for you?
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah. So I was asking if it's a good squad for you.
It's a good what?
It's a good squad.
Good start for me, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay. I'm all right.
And the players in there, he called 4 home-based players, Yaya Mohamed, Kujo Amakon of Ashanti Gold, Richard Atta of Accra Hearts of Oak, and then Habib Mohamed. Fair?
Yeah. This has been the norm by these coaches who handle our national team. In order to perhaps quest the support of the Ghanaian supporting public, they would like to invite some local players into the Black Stars. But as to whether they will take part in the game is another thing. They're invited and then they are restricted on the bench. But let's see whether CK has got something new, and they will be bold enough to feature some of these players on the D-Day.
But, Coach, based on your monitoring on the local scene, the Ghana Premier League, you think these are players that can make the starting team just as they made the 23-man squad?
They are playing the local league, and the local league is now has picked up. And if you ask me this question, for instance, if you take all these players to any European country, any European club, and then they pass the test. They play alongside with other colleague players from outside, from other countries, and they perform well. Okay. It's not a matter of saying you are grouping them together. They are playing with people on the field. They are playing with other players on the pitch.
Okay.
And it is not one-man show. It's a collective effort. So when you field them, they can also contribute and play. You see, as a coach, you must be bold enough to feature a player. Have confidence in the player, build the confidence in the player, and he will deliver. But if you already restrict him to the bench, the other players will say, oh, when you are even invited, you go to, you go to the camp and then you are put on the bench. Okay, let me find my way outside the country. Okay. And when I go outside and play, they will invite me. This is the bane of the exodus that we have in this country.
Okay. Coach, thanks so much for your time. So that was veteran coach J. Sapon speaking to me on the CK Akono's 23-man squad, which was announced yesterday. Well, away from the local scene yesterday, 3 matches were played in the English FA Cup. 4 matches now, 3 defeats. I'm talking about Liverpool. After Atletico Madrid's defeat
in the UEFA Champions League, losing their very first game of the season. That's the English Premier League to Watford. Yesterday, they lost again to Chelsea by 2-0 in the English FA Cup. And by virtue of that, they are out, and Chelsea are through to the next stage of the competition. Highlights of the game for you.
Have to move on and tell you about the latest from the world of business. Of course, when it comes to business, that segment, AMBiz, is always brought to you by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. And this morning, we're focusing on the Agritech Challenge, the Cosmos Innovation Center Agritech Challenge in January 2020. And it is to help equip all these young people with some great ideas, with the best requisite skills for the job market. Now, they embark on a 10-day research tour in 6 regions in Ghana, visiting factories and companies within the agriculture value chain. Karen Dodo was with the team and is bringing to you the latest highlights of their trips in the Greater Accra region.
One of the market's research saw participants of the Cosmos Innovation Center Agritech Challenge take a trip to Obosomasi in the Eastern region to visit the Hilltop Greenhouse Village. The Greenhouse Village is managed by Tech Shelter, one of the winning teams from the 2018 edition of the KIC Agritech Challenge. Having operated for about a year, the team has managed to turn around the fortunes of the once-dead facility.
It's very important to have expert advice behind the whole thing, practical experience. So you're not talking because you can speak good English, because you can preach, you're talking because you actually know what you're saying. So we are still learning.
All this with a mobile phone application which is able to provide crop production services. The new cohorts visited the site to learn more about their business and perhaps grow an interest in greenhouse farming. The trip was also to help them come up with business ideas to help tackle challenges associated with greenhouse farming. Due to the highly controlled environment in the domes, the participants were unable to use them, as this could be detrimental to the growth of the plants. They, however, got the chance to observe one of Tech Shelter's very own demo kits, which helps to regulate temperature and humidity within the greenhouses.
So here it is displaying what it is speaking now.
Okay.
Right? So that means at any point, anywhere you are, I'm not connected to it, but I'm wirelessly connected. Yeah. At any point in time, anywhere you are, you can see the temperature within your tunnel and also the relative humidity.
At Hilltop, the main aim is to ensure that they provide greenhouse services to maximize crop yield and improve profits for the various owners. Public Relations Officer for Tech Shelter, Gifty Kwashi, had a word of advice for them.
They should take it with all seriousness and identify problems in the system. Fine, people are solving some, but we can't solve it all. We need more hands in the agriculture space, right from production, whatsoever. Across the agriculture value chain, they should identify problems, because there are teething problems in the agriculture sector we need to solve. So what I would tell them is that they should really be serious about what they want to identify in the agriculture sector and come up with innovative solutions to help us move forward as a country.
At the end of the visit, some participants were inspired by the story of Team Tech Shelter.
We are all trying to move the agri sector to the next level, and the young guys are doing that. We are also looking up to them to also do that. So I think it's bringing some kind of hope to the young guys that there's something in agriculture in which we have to also go into.
So I got to understand that if you really want something to be different from the other, you need a design, a proper design.
Next up was Blue Skies Limited, a food processing company which started production in 1958 and noted for its popular fruit juices, ice creams and food chops. The company has a labor force of 3,000 workers in Ghana, 2 factories in Egypt and South Africa, as well as 1 in Benin and the UK. Although the company is popular in Ghana for fruit juice production, the juices form about 5% of its total production, with a chunk exported to the European market. Upon the KIC team's arrival at the factory, which is located near Nsawam in the Eastern region, Public Affairs Manager Alice Tejimate welcomed the team and briefed them with the background of Blue Skies Company and the mission behind its existence.
Supply to the 15 most premium supermarket chains in Europe. If I say premium, it means premium. our products are not sold by any roadside shop like you can see in
After
other
the
parts of the
welcome,
world because
the
of
team was taken on a tour of the factory to understand their mode of operations. They were exposed to some of the challenges affecting fruit cultivation and production in Ghana.
We sort the ripe ones from the unripe ones. So any fruit that goes into production have been sorted. So we don't just send them in batch, whether it is ripe or not. No, we don't want to waste anything. So that's how our system is done. So when you come here during the day, you see so many fruits packed all over.
After the sightseeing, it was obvious the participants had learned from the Blue Sky story and were ready to make a positive impact in society.
The moment you turn different, or the moment you become innovative, or the entrepreneurial spirit begin to burn in you, you tend to sort of like get a lot of haters. That is where whatever fire that is in your belly, you should come out boldly and explain to people you want to work with or teams that you want to come up with to initiate whatever that is burning in your belly.
I'm really inspired, and to know that like a Ghanaian company is making it this big out there, like owning factories in like a whole lot of like countries around the world, having like a huge market in Europe especially is like a big inspiration for me. And so I'm actually looking forward, hoping that a day will come where most people from here will actually end up like establishing most blue skies around the world.
It was quite late when their first day on the market research trip ended, but the agri-techies were not perturbed as the experience was an eye-opener to the realities in the agriculture value chain.
Option. I said.
Day 2 of the market research took the agri-techies to the Ghana Flowers and Grains Limited, located in Dowenya, in the Greater Accra region. Although the Dutch-owned company is the leading producer of fresh flowers in Ghana, about 98% of the flowers produced are exported to the international markets. Joseph Apia Addo, manager for the local content at the factory, officially received the team.
There's no special thinking. So somebody sat down. He knew. The ladies here, I'm very sure that when it's Valentine and I bring you one of our flowers, you will tell me, the flower. That is it. But for him, the flower business is the best when you go to Holland. Okay? So he thought that, look, let me find a place here in Ghana and locate the business. And let me be very, very frank. Initially, it wasn't that easy. Every businessman, including you, should have it at the back of your mind. That you don't start business today and hope to what? Start the business should start bearing fruit for you to enjoy.
Although majority of the flowers produced are exported to the international market, the local market equally plays a vital role within the company's business value chain. Being a part of the Ghana Free Zones enclave, the country works hand in hand with outgrowers as well as depends heavily on labor from the community. Like their previous visits to the other factories, the agri-techies were given a brief on the history behind the company, their method of production, and most importantly, some challenges they face. This was of immense interest to the agri-techies as they were hopeful that this may lead to potential business ideas. However, Mr. Addo Apia encouraged them not to create any business, but ones that are really cut out to solve pressing problems.
You and I, if we are going to go into the field of business, then we must go into an area where we are not, Ghana here, we are copy. The moment somebody is doing something, you too want to do the same thing. So, and you know, your lecturers have told you, you must be innovative, you must be creative, you must do thinking, and you must have a lot of time to sit, think through, plan, come up with the idea, and the idea is always here. Once you give it a lot of attention, something will pop up. Sometimes it pops up in your bathroom. Sometimes even where you're on your water closet, the idea will pop up. Sometimes in a dream, idea will pop up. Unfortunately, most of us, when the ideas pop up, we don't follow up. So most people have died and they've gone with a lot of ideas. That's why they say the grave of the African is the richest place in the world.
The team then took a tour around the facility where most of the flowers produced are done in greenhouses. From the greenhouses, they are harvested and then prepared for shipping to Holland. After engaging with other employees at the facility and satisfying their curiosity with the numerous questions answered, it was time for them to move on to the next stop for the day, the Guinean Irrigation Scheme, a few kilometers away from the flour producing company. The Guinean Irrigation Scheme was established in 1960 under the Ghana Irrigation Development Authority. Since then, it has been providing irrigation services to farmers around Guinea and its environs. In addition to its mandate, the scheme, which has a total land area of 2,800 hectares, has started rice cultivation. They as well assist independent rice farmers with processing services. However, this task has been challenging as the scheme is faced with numerous problems. The cost of power has been a major problem, causing a shutdown in 2016 after management was unable to settle power bills. Scheme manager Timothy Nuodu is hoping that the agri-techies will manage to come up with a solution to the scheme's high cost of power.
So marketing, as we speak now, is a big challenge for our farmers. We have harvested a lot of rice, and if your camera will just focus on the platform, and if you interact with some of the farmers, they will tell you they have the rice, but there are no buyers. So it's a challenge. So those are some of the key challenges that the scheme have: power, seed, and marketing.
At the end of the second day, it was an exciting tour for them, as the agri-techies could not wait to see what subsequent regions have in store for them. For Joy Business, Karen Dodu.
Okay, let's talk about something else for a minute. Yesterday, the NDC held a press conference. Well, actually, it was the Alliance
Interparty
Resistance against the
new voter
register. A lot was said.
Yeah, basically, I think that yesterday's press conference was basically to update the general populace as to the various key issues that have been debated upon. The Electoral Commission has always had a position, and inter-party, resistance against the new compilation of the new register have also always had a position. So there have been contestation of these particular positions. The Electoral Commission says one thing, the inter-party resistance group says another thing, and indeed even some civil society organizations say something else. So yesterday's press conference was basically to update the general population as to what we do know. Because you recall, Kojo, that we had indicated the argument has always been that if you look at the current voter register as we have, it's credible. And that we could update this particular register through limited registration to be able to run a credible election in 2020, as we have done since 2012. Because we did limited registration and other things to be able to produce assemblymen, produce unit committee members, produce even new regions. So that was something that we had indicated, that this was something. We had also indicated very clearly that if you were to look at, for example, the BVRs that we have, the BVDs that we have, the systems, applications, and what have you, the data center and what have you, that these are systems that are not obsolete, and that the worst case scenario, you can upgrade these things at a lower cost.
Right.
So we had made that argument. We had also made the argument that if you look at the competing needs today, we are talking about coronavirus. Why would we want to deploy not less than 800 million Ghana cedis to put up a new system when obviously at a cheaper cost, we can still have a very efficient thing to do. So these were some of the arguments we made. And you know that this is not the position only of the inter-party thing. We have over 40 NGOs, civil society organizations, who have come, including the Imanis, the CDDs, the IDEX, the GII. These are organizations that have come out to clearly support the position of the inter-party resistance group. Going forward, what we then did was that we then decided that, look, maybe we are saying it and people do not believe it. We think that maybe we may not be the technical people to do that. So let's write, for example, seek more information, for example, from the companies that either supplied or what they call it, manufacture these systems. The information we got from them very clearly was that, look, if you look at our BVRs, if you look at our BVDs, they can all be upgraded and work at a very cheap cost.
This is the company that was
so
initial provider.
Yeah, that's the identification, what they call the HSB identification, what they call it, BV. So they have indicated that they can really upgrade these things. So the question you then ask yourself is that, so why would the Jemensa-led, what they call it, Electoral Commission still be insistent in putting up a new register, particularly where, as we speak now, we do not know of a completion of the procurement systems. We are in 2012. We are in March. You are going to have a new system all put together. You want to train new staff to be able to handle this equipment. You will have to compile a new register. You will have to print out the provisional register for exhibition. You will need to, again, now do duplications for political parties, all within between now and somewhere around November thereabout. If you look at the previous system that we made, all procurement systems and everything was done a year before the elections. So why you still, and if you look at that time, we believe that that cannot be done very clearly. Besides, the Electoral Commission has not been able, and clearly, been able to publish that technical report that suggested that the current system is obsolete and needs a replacement. People have asked the Electoral Commission, in the spirit of transparency and accountability, to publish that report. Nobody has been able to do that. The Electoral Commission has never been able to do that. And so for me, I think that part of it was just to remind Ghanaians about that. And again, most importantly, Kojo, you know, just our previous discussion, we were talking about God's intervention. The Ghanaian is not a special being. We are just like any other who is capable of anything. If you look at countries around us who have gone into civil unrest, most often than not, it is because of lack of transparency and acceptability in the election process. And so if you have a situation where there's a serious dispute, and particularly when even the election management committee or group is not able to give superior arguments why they want to take up a line of action, then you have something to be worried about. And so yesterday's press conference was basically to update Ghanaians about this. And to say, remind, what do you call it, the Electoral Commission, that look, we have been able to keep the peace over a period of time because of the fact that at least political parties have had some level of confidence in the systems that we run with. And we should be maintaining those systems.
So at this point, I mean, the contracts have been awarded, have they not? You know, for the new system to be put in place, the new BVRs, the new register to be compiled. I mean, the contract has been awarded.
That
right?
is also has also been shrouded in a lot of mystery. You hear Imani come out to talk about even the procurement process, and the fact that these are things that to a very large extent, in fact, there are people suspect foul play in terms of even the procurement process. Kojo, I just think that this whole thing is so messy. Why, as a country, when we're compiling the 2012, you know, the one that the biometric, this was based on extensive consultation by civil society organizations, including IEA, that Jemensa, who is now the Electoral Commissioner, was the head. We came out because of the fact that the previous one, you know, we used to replace this, what do you call it, register, because it was not, we had potential voters not captured in terms of their biodata and what have you, to be able to verify some of these things. That was why, and there was this whole argument. The political parties, you had the civil society organizations, you had the international community, and we did this. If the Electoral Commission is minded by the fact that they want to add an extra biodata, now they are talking about facial recognition. The system, per even the correspondence that came between the inter-party resistance group and what it clearly says that can be incorporated to it, so that you want to have the fingerprint scanners, you can have the what they call the facial recognition. So I just really cannot understand why the Electoral Commission is bent on piling a new register.
So what specifically is the party resistance going to do about this without jeopardizing the independence of the EC?
You see, when we talk about the independence of the EC, it is just, how do I put it? As long as the Electoral Commission draws its funding from the taxpayer, it is only fair that we have a say. We're not saying that the decisions that the fact that they say that you are independent, it's not a clear indication that you get up and then when we know that you are taking us into a ditch, you take us. And that was why, even in the wisdom of Ghanaians, or even though it's not legislated, we felt that from 1992 onwards, you should have what we call the Inter-Party Advisory, that's IPAC committee, that would come to be able to work with you. So that at the end of the day, you are supposed to be the arbiter of all elections. And so I should be confident that the referee who is in the middle of this game is being fair. And that whatever...
So you see IPAC as a regulator of the EC?
No, not a regulator, but as an advice. See, that's why I use the word, and I was very careful about it, that IPAC has been there as a matter of convention and practice. And to a very, it has served us well. Since 1992, it has served us well. Because people make inputs into what finally becomes the system that would conduct an election. And so from day one, there's some level of confidence in the system.
Right.
But when you create an impression and say that, look, you are supposed to be independent, nobody is supposed to make, you are supposed to work, but remember that I am giving you my money to do that. I'm a taxpayer.
Yeah.
And therefore, I should be able to have a say at least in how you even manage these things. If the Electoral Commission was independent, then why then did we go on to say that we're going to have an audit of the procurement processes of the Electoral Commission, so and on the basis of that remove an Electoral Commission?
So that's where Parliament comes in, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Parliament has approved these budgets for the EC to spend.
You see, the system that we have in this country is the fact that, and that's why people have consistently talked about trying to decouple the legislature from the executive. Because of our current arrangement, whether you like it or not, people, if you have a majority in this, and whether the people kick against it or not, they fight, they are shipped in line. If you look at the special budget committee that was put up, which even involves our minority leader, there were issues raised about some of these budgeting issues. You understand? And so the fact that Parliament has approved funding for an activity does not necessarily mean that you should spend it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you should spend it, because if you come and tell us that, look, you need X, Y, Z for this, like our budgets that we do, you need X, Y, Z for, and you realize that there are cheaper ways of doing that. You don't going to do that, because in the first place you are supposed to look for money, and that's why we use the argument that we have other competing needs. 800 million is not a child's play.
But does this not suggest that that watchdog role that we can only rely on Parliament to play for an independent institution like EC, well, it's not working? Politics is rendering it redundant.
Bekojo, it is not only in Ghana. You know, you remember when the Supreme Court judge in the U.S., is it Canaveral? What's his name again? That guy who was accused of sexual misconduct and other things.
Oh.
You remember the guy I'm talking about?
Clarence Thomas.
No, not Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas' own was a longer
the new
period.
one.
The new one that just came recently.
Kavanaugh.
You realize that even though people came out and gave testimony and other things, the Senate still went ahead to do that. Look at the current impeachment process of Donald Trump. The argument was not that the man never committed, it never acted that way. But on the basis of partisan lines, they voted in a particular way. This is very common in national assemblies.
And that gives you comfort?
No, it doesn't. And that's the point. And that's why it doesn't. But it is just that, and you see, I have always indicated that among the three arms of government, it is the parliamentary wing that has had the least of experiences. Anytime there's a truncation of democratic rule, it is Parliament that suffers. The executive is still in existence. The judiciary is always in existence. So over the years, they've developed. Parliamentary democracy has been sustained in Ghana just for about since 1992 to now. So there are a lot of learning processes that we need to go through. So sometimes when people tend to compare Parliament to, again, the judiciary, parliament to say the executive. It's a bit because of our history of militarism.
Right.
So we have had a situation where parliamentary democracy in itself has not been properly developed. We are still learning. But I will just give you examples of countries where even they have had about 250 million, 100 years of parliamentary democracy. And that we still find such behaviors in them. So that is the point I was just trying to make.
All right, let's talk about this. Yesterday, the Deputy Attorney General was addressing the Association of Government Attorneys of Africa. And he took the opportunity to say a few things about the recent Airbus scandal that was making the rounds. But actually, following that, he was interviewed on Joy FM. Let's catch a bit of what he said.
26 countries, the UK, France, United States, as well as 23 other countries, including Ghana. And the government of Ghana had no role at all. So clearly it was unsolicited. It's something that was associated by events that occurred in the United Kingdom. Okay. The judgment of the Crown Court of England. And Ghana government owing that a responsibility as a duty to the people to take it up. I think that clearly is the best form of, or the best demonstration of the fight against corruption, the best demonstration of a commitment to uphold the rule of law. Headed by President Jonathan Kufuor to have ordered investigations into the matter. And that is what he has done. I think that we must allow this process to go on.
Now, I said finally, though, but one quick one also just before we go, because in your earlier submission, you mentioned that the people or person is going around campaigning. I would want to find out specifically from you who you're referring to.
Oh, I'm referring to the vice president who transformed into a president and won and lost the first won election to 2012 and lost 2016 elections.
And his name is?
Campaigning to come back again in 2020. And I'm saying that if...
Are you referring to Mr. John Dramani Mahama?
Absolutely.
So that was the Deputy Attorney General, Mr. Godfrey Dame, speaking to my colleague, MFA Appel, on the Midday News on Joy FM. So, let's get into this. First, let's invite on the phone lines Edem Senanu, who is an anti-corruption campaigner here in Ghana. Mr. Senanu, it's good to speak to you. Good morning. Thanks for your time.
Good morning.
Right. So the Deputy Attorney General is not mincing words here. He says that his expectation is that those who were in office at the time the Airbus scandal occurred, now that Airbus has admitted that they were paying bribes and seeking to influence government officials, they ought to be informing the nation of who those government officials are, and that he's disappointed by their silence. Is that the same feeling that the anti-corruption community, and you in particular, have, or do you have a different view of it?
Well, I guess that from where he sits, that's the position he has. I was curious when I heard that the Deputy Attorney General speak on this matter, which is an issue that has been referred to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. I think that ideally we should not compromise the integrity of the Office of the Special Prosecutor by making comments before he has finished. Otherwise, it will seem as if every political actor will have something to say. So I think that once it was referred to the Office of the Special Prosecutor, the Special Prosecutor is the one who should be telling us whether some people are collaborating, they are not, etc. Otherwise, we will create difficulties for ourselves.
Right. Forgive me for playing devil's advocate here, but we know that this is a case that has been concluded in a British, American, and French courts. So could it not be that Mr. Dame was commenting on those concluded cases and not necessarily on the investigation of the special prosecutor? And in any case, since when did it become wrong to comment on an investigation? We understand you can't comment on a case in court, but as for an investigation, why can't we all comment on it?
Well, yes, so that is why it is fair for him if in his position he wants to make that comment. I just said that if the president has referred the matter, then it seems to me that in respect of that matter, giving our own, jurisdiction where the investigation is now commencing. Ideally, we should wait for the man who the presidency has referred this to speak to us on what has transpired. Otherwise, because of the nature of the relationship between the AG and the OSP, it will appear that there is some influence being brought to bear on the OSP.
Right.
So ideally, we should be hearing from the special prosecutor.
Okay. Well, Mr. Dame has spoken. Let's talk about what he actually did say. And his expectation is that there were people in office at the time this deal was struck between Ghana and Airbus. There were people in charge. At the beginning, the vice president was John Mahama. He, as vice president, was the chairman of the council that would make decisions on the purchase of military aircraft. So he would certainly know which government officials were involved in this deal. So Mr. Dame is saying, well, why not tell the people of Ghana about Airbus? Why not tell them who was involved, whether things were done well or not? Why not come clean to the people of Ghana? After all, you are seeking their vote in the next election. As a matter of governance, do you see do you think he has a point?
Well, he would ordinarily. I don't know what the lawyers of that team would be advising at this stage. Don't forget we're in an election year, and I guess that once it is expected that people of their own volition would speak up to these issues, which I agree would be the ideal situation to the extent that they are so minded as to give the facts properly. I'm sure that the stakes, what they are, I'm not too surprised that we find ourselves where we are at this moment.
Right. So I'm not sure I've got an answer from you whether you think he has a point that the previous officials
yes, he does.
should...
Ordinarily, that's what you would expect.
Right.
I said so. I mean, I don't think that there's anything that takes away from people just saying, look, yes, I was part of this process, this is what transpired, etc. But as I've also pointed out, I mean, as I analyze it, the stakes, we're in an election year, the stakes are high, and it depends on what their legal team is advising them to do or not do at this stage.
Right.
So, yes, I mean, ordinarily, people should be able to speak to this voluntarily without any restrictions whatsoever.
Okay, all right. Please stay with us. I've got a couple other things I'd love to hear you on. But, Mr. Bauer, this Airbus issue, would it not actually put the matter to bed if, in the same way that the opposition expresses their view on every issue of national importance, if the opposition were to speak on this, particularly the officials who were at post at the time it happened and for which reason would certainly be aware of all the facts, would it not be useful to hear those officials tell the people of Ghana that, well, this is what we did, that's what we did, everything was completely legal, so there's nothing to worry about? Why leave the issue lingering with questions in people's minds, awaiting an investigation? Why not tell us, your side of it?
I mean, it's look, Kojo, let's be straight with certain things. The documents that have come out that all of us have perused, no ex-government official has been mentioned in any of those documents.
No name.
No, that's the point I'm trying to say. Yeah. No name has been cited. If Governor Dame has a name that has been mentioned, the proper place to stick it is the Special Prosecutor's Office. I think that the government in its own wisdom felt that, look, this thing needed to be investigated further, and therefore referred the case to the OSP. So what business does he have in trying to talk about mentioning names? If he has evidence, the only place he can send is that place. But you see, Kojo, I will state this and state it again. This is a diversionary tactic. The government is seriously on its back here. They have answers to provide in terms of the Galamsey challenges. If you look at their corruption records, in fact, if you look at the GPI that has come out over the 3 years of Akufo-Addo, his best performance is not even up to the worst performance of John Mahama. They know that the corruption platform, they cannot win. They know that in terms of good governance, they cannot win. They know that the only straw they have is this quote-unquote Airbus scandal. You have chosen to refer this thing to a particular body to work on? What business do you have in talking about because the government, if the government knew that this was the case, they could have said, okay, Attorney General, find a way of handling this and let's see how it goes. And then maybe Attorney General could have then said that as part of the tools we are going to deploy, we are going to use the OSP. So then you become there. But the government in its own wisdom just felt that this should go directly to the OSP because they're looking at the confines of what is purported to have been done. They could properly handle it. So what business does it have in talking about people should come out willingly to say that, oh, we were there and these were the things? Was that the reason? Why didn't the government just say that, look, we just got this DPA that has come from the United Kingdom and that we want people to voluntarily come out to do that? Why didn't the government request for that? The first thing the president did, and he did this by public announcement, was that he was sending this, the rate at which he even referred it into the OSP. If you compare that to other scandals that we have, that we are talking about, because at the end of the day, the figures we are looking at this thing is roughly somewhere around 3 million euros and thereabout. There are scandals that people have expected the government to have acted with that same alacrity. They have not. Huge figures in multiples and multiples of the 3 million euros that you have. And so I agree with the anti-corruption, what they call it, crusader, who is Adam Senanu. Yes. Senanu. You have referred it into a body. The body is supposed to be doing its work. What business do you have in coming to deal with it, apart from the fact that you want to redirect public discourse?
So that's your critique of what the Deputy Attorney General has done. But I am also interested in your critique of how your party has handled it, or how the former government officials under whose watch this happened have handled it. Do you feel that this matter could have died out by now if they had come out to explain what happened to the people of Ghana? Could this diversionary tactic, as you describe it, would it not have killed it so that nobody pays attention to it anymore?
First and foremost, you will recall that the moment this thing happened, the former Attorney General issued a statement. Immediately after that, the president referred this thing to the OSP.
But the former Attorney General's statement didn't give any information. It simply said, the thing you have read does not include any accusations of bribery. That's all she said.
So that's the position.
But that's not information about what happened.
You see, the question is this. After that particular statement that was issued by the former Attorney General, the government referred the case to the OSP. If the OSP is minded that, look, we want to call the government officials, come and tell us, this thing, who are those who did the procurement? That is a forum for them to go and respond. Why should they come out? Because if the government felt that, look, let people come out and have self-confession. Oh yes, I was involved and nothing happened. He would have said so. He referred it into a body. So if Matanamidu and his office are minded by the fact that, look, we think that Mr. A and B and this would have been involved in this, they would invite them. Again, so what business do you have in telling quote unquote ex-government officials who have not been cited anyway to come out and say so that the basis of that you use the same template that was used in England in resolving the issue in Ghana?
But again, you are critiquing what they are doing. I'm asking about your party, because your party and
what you are giving me is
government officials who were in charge at the time. And let's be fair, the former president, John Mahama, was the buck stops with the president, right? So this happened during the regime of the former president. So if you can
regime, what do you
question, the time period during which the purchases were
made. Under the NDC.
That's right.
Okay.
So as the #1 official responsible for the government at the time, he is best placed to know what happened. I'm not saying that he was involved. I'm saying he's best placed to know what happened. So why not tell the people of Ghana that, well, actually,
have you heard that
this is what happened?
Have you heard that the OSP has invited the former president? He has not gone.
So again,
you're
focusing on what they are doing.
Excuse me. Look, as a country led by His Excellency the current president, has indicated that for me, in bringing finality to this case, I am referring this thing to the OSP. The OSP, in its own modus operandi, would want to say, we want to invite individuals. So is Godfrey telling us that there has been an instance that a government official, because you are sitting here and speculating, and saying that the buck stops with the former president.
That's not speculation, that's
no, you are saying that this is the case. So I want to believe that this
speculation, though. I just want to say
no, but the point I'm just
the
trying
buck
to make
stops with the president.
So if that is the case, if the OSP is minded by the fact that the buck stops with the former president, is it the case that the OSP has invited the former president and has refused to honor that invitation to give the information? No. I am just trying to tell you that as a country, we have chosen that a body should handle that. What business does the NDC or the former coming out to say that, oh, this is the case, when you have said that this is the platform that if you have anything, go there and say it.
But will it not put the matter to rest so that no one can use it as a diversionary tactic?
That would be the crisis for other people to be able to manage. That is not our crisis. That is not a crisis of the former government.
You don't mind that the current government, in your words, is diverting the attention of the public
NDC is committed
from corruption.
The NDC, in principle, is committed to fighting corruption and making sure that any time there's a suspicion of corruption anywhere, we should look at it and deal with it. Because that is the only way this country can move forward. That being said, we have no evidence that the former government officials are not cooperating with the process that has been laid down by the president and his government. So that's why I'm saying that this is just purely a diversionary tactic.
So that's all. So kill it by explaining what happened.
No. What we should be doing is treating the comments of Godfrey Dame with contempt. Because simply he had no business saying these things when there was an office that had been designated to do that particular. He had no business in doing that. He should be fighting the numerous corruption cases in his current government.
All right.
He should be giving us evidence of how he's fighting that.
All right. So a number of people have actually mentioned and accused the former president of being government official 1 and his brother of being the intermediary 5.
And what is the basis for that argument?
I have a question.
Yes.
Does it surprise you that the former president hasn't taken legal action against any of these people, accusing him of being involved in a bribery scandal?
In the first place, I think that if you look at the former president and his demeanor, he is somebody who is interested in cooperating with the system because he's occupied that office before. He expects, for example, that on January 7, 2021, if he becomes a president and he gives orders to a state institution to handle a particular case, they should handle it and handle it well. And that any other person who, quote unquote, is involved should cooperate with that body. That being said, the current president, at the end of the day, should not, is interested in unraveling this issue. And that's why the party has not, and the former president's office has not indicated that they do not want to cooperate with the office of the special prosecutor.
Right.
Let it be said that he was invited to cooperate with them and he didn't do it. Let it be said that there were some ex-government officials who had been invited and they refused to cooperate. Until we get to that bridge, Godfrey Dame has no business making the statements he made yesterday to Joy FM.
All right. Mr. Adam Senanu, thank you for staying with us on the line. This is what I wanted to ask you before you go. As part of his comments at this high-level meeting yesterday, the Deputy Attorney General said that Ghana should start considering the possibility of these deferred prosecution agreements, like what we saw with Airbus and the courts in UK, US, and France. And that when there are corporations accused of criminal misconduct, financial misconduct, that we should explore the option of deferred prosecution agreements when all the facts are admitted to by the accused. What do you think that would do for the fight against corruption in Ghana? Would that be a positive move?
Well, it's a difficult question. On one hand, one expects that people just do the right thing and we can use our resources appropriately for national development. But on the other hand, I mean, to the extent that it provides an opportunity for those who would unlikely give the kind of information that allows us to even retrieve and correct systems that have gone wrong, I think that that's a good suggestion, because then you have opportunity to lift the lid to understand what has gone on in various corporate engagements and contracts at the international level. And it also then allows you to be able to retrieve some of the resources, if not most of it, that has been sculled away. So I think that it's a good suggestion in terms of thinking through our legal framework and what can be done as we move ahead, and it's something to take on board.
All right. Mr. Senanu, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on that with us. I'm going to give the last minute to you, Mr. Bauer, on the same issue, the same suggestion. What do you think? Good innovation for our anti-corruption fight or not?
For me, anything that will enhance our anti-corruption fight is welcome. If issues of DPAs are employed in Ghana, it's something that will, to a very large extent, because usually it's not just about even just fishing out the culprits and punishing, but the lessons you learn from that. Because I want to believe that the British government, in its own wisdom, will learn something out of this. The companies that are involved will also try to put in systems that will curtail such practices. And so for me, any experience that is worth employing in Ghana that will enhance our fight against corruption is very, very much welcome.
So this one in particular would be welcome?
Yeah, if at the end of the day, within our circumstances, it can work, that is something we should look at. I do not profess to be an expert in anti-graft, what they call it, issues. But I think that if it is something that can really enhance our fight against corruption, trust me, I am all for it.
All right. Mr. Edward Bauer, Member of Parliament for Congo, thank you so much for making the time to be with us on AM Talk. There's even more coming on the show. Stay exactly where you are. A few messages from our partners, and then we'll be right back with more. Right, welcome back. And I've got to do a Roland really quickly. Let me do a quick
That's
Roland.
me. It means that we want to do a shout out.
A quick one.
Yeah.
So the message says, we wish you a happy birthday, Bishop Ebenezer Obudai of Action Chapel International Prayer Cathedral. Bishop, you are blessed and highly favored by God. We appreciate time invested in us and honor your humility in the service of God. Bishop Ebenezer Obudai, happy birthday. And that's a message from Winifred, who's here with us at Multimedia.
Well, definitely. But we're talking the National Cathedral because on Thursday, there will be a groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of the National Cathedral. Ahead of that, well, we decided to engage the Board of Trustees on how far it has come with the job that is going to be done and what already has been done for that groundbreaking ceremony. And who else than Mamavi Owusu Abuaje, the cut case on location.
In March 2018, the president unveiled the design for the cathedral as part of the country's 60th anniversary celebrations. Remember, later in that year, in December, he also made a personal donation of 100,000 Ghana cedis towards the building of the structure. But the issue of the cathedral has obviously generated a lot of debates. People having very strong opinions. For instance, the issue of whether or not the cathedral is even necessary in the first place. And then also the pulling down of the homes of 9 Court of Appeal justices. We've had some battles in court. Remember the CPP's Kwabena Bomfe, who went to court unsuccessfully, though, asking the court to halt the construction of the cathedral. Reason, well, he wanted the state to simply stay away from religious affairs. And then last month, the Supreme Court dismissed an injunction application seeking to put the construction on hold until a substantive case that has been filed was heard. Well, the battle may not be over from where you look at it, but come Thursday, 6th of March 2020, work will officially begin. And that's why we've come here to speak to the secretary to the Board of Trustees. Reverend Kosi Boateng will be is actually joining me for a conversation on what's going to happen here on Thursday. Reverend, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So on the 6th of March, we're officially beginning what exactly? Because we see some work going on.
It's on the 5th of March, that is tomorrow. We are going to witness the groundbreaking and the laying on the foundation stone by His Excellency the President of the Republic and a couple of Ghanaian Christian bodies and a couple of dignitaries. Officially, the building of the National Cathedral is about starting, and it starts from tomorrow.
Okay. Are we down with demolition exercises, pulling down of structures?
We have a few diplomatic things to go through. 2 buildings are here that we are dealing with, but all protocols have been responded to. So in a month, every single building sitting on this plot of land for the cathedral will be gone.
So for those structures still standing, what's been the issues?
Oh, it's a few issues. One is the passport office that has been relocated. and one is the Malian embassy that was, sitting down for nothing, but because it has diplomatic implications, we are following due diligence, which of course we have. So very soon we'll be over and the two buildings will go down.
In my introduction, I did indicate the president's 100,000 Ghana cedis commitment, and I'm not sure if we know if the board has received this monies yet. So have you received it?
Sure, we've received the president's money, and not just the president's money. We've done a fundraising here in Accra. We did one in the United States of America in Washington, D.C. A few weeks ago, we did one in Kumasi. So a lot of people are expressing their concerns and giving the best that they can, because the cathedral will surely be built.
Okay, so how much money have we raised so far?
We have raised a couple of monies, but because it has to go through the auditing processes before they come out to be well authenticated, I wouldn't want to say something that is different when the auditing comes out. But we are raising money, and that is why we are able to start the project, God willing, tomorrow.
Okay, there was also commitment in that budget. There was an allocation. Has it been disbursed yet?
We are still waiting for it. We are waiting for the government to give us his promise of the seed money. It still hasn't come, but that cannot stop us. The trustees, I hope you know who the trustees are. I believe you know every one of them. We are very resolute. This cathedral will be built. We are doing the best that we can. We are traveling all over the nations. We are talking to individuals. And in America, when we're in America, the Bible Museum, one family, the Greens, who we are bringing here to come and support us. One family gave $500 million free of charge to the project. And so we are trusting God that such people will be attracted to this project. And there are people from all walks of life. There are presidents that are interested in this project, and people are ready to support. We pray.
And this 500, no strings attached? No. Why would somebody give so much money to a country that they have no links to?
No, he's not giving it to Ghana. He gave it to the American Bible Museum. And so there are also Ghanaians who are ready to support us like the Greens did.
Okay. Oh, so you're just citing that as an example. I thought we were getting monies from them.
Oh, that would have been beautiful. So the same thing we believe could happen here because of the relevance of the cathedral, what it stands spiritually, what it stands physically, and what the nation stands to benefit from this cathedral.
So as we begin the work tomorrow, what monies are we using to start?
We have the monies to start. We have the monies to start. We have the monies for the preparatory works and all that. And we have too many people that are ready. And like the president promised us, I believe the monies are on the way and people are ready to see the construction, so they give whatever they need to give. So like I said, the construction is coming on and we are breaking the grounds tomorrow. The monies will be ready.
So who's the contractor?
We are still in the process. In a few days, the contractor will be appointed. Just after we break the grounds, it's a process. So just after the grounds are broken, in a few days from now, we'll be announcing who the contractor is.
Okay, I find that a bit confusing. We're starting the groundbreaking tomorrow. I thought that was the beginning of the construction, but we don't have a contractor yet.
You see, there is a process of the tendering. You get contractors that pre-qualify, and then you put them together to organize your groundbreaking for you, because by all means, the contractors that are pre-qualified will be the ones to do the constructions. You don't want to wait, and because the 5th and the 6th match has become very, very important to us, we can't miss the 5th match. If we do, it will take us another month after the main contractor has been appointed. So some contractors have been pre-qualified, and they are the ones helping us to put this together. By all means, they are the ones that are going to start the construction after today.
Okay, so this is also coming at a fee?
This?
As in those helping you to do this initial one?
Sure. You have to spend money to do these things. You have to spend money to do these things. Monies have to go in. And we have people supporting. People are still supporting. Even yesterday, people were supporting. Yes.
So how many years are we giving ourselves again? Has anything changed from the initial planning?
Nothing has changed. 3 to 4 years, we are finishing this cathedral.
But you know that there's one more substantive case that is in court. Late last month, there was the dismissal of that injunction application, which means that you can go on and do the construction, but there's one more battle.
We have won 3 cases in the Supreme Court. 3 cases. We've not just won one, we haven't won twice, we've won 3 cases. And this is the work of God. Tobias and Sanballat tried stopping Nehemiah from building, but they never succeeded. They can go to court as many times as they want to, but this cathedral will surely be built.
Well, so what's going to happen? Can you paint a mental picture of what would happen on the 5th of March?
On the 5th of March, like you see, we'll have thousands of believers coming to support us. The president will be here with a lot of dignitaries, with a lot of diplomatic corps. And then we will sit down, go through all our procedures and our ceremonies, after which we are going to lay the foundation stone at the back there. They are working, so they are going to do what we call a pathway, a walkway from here to where, if you want to be shown the place, I can show you where we are going to lay the foundation. We are laying the foundation at where the altar is in the cathedral, which is very, very paramount and very prophetic. So that is where we are laying the foundation stone, after which we'll be over. That's all we've come to do today. I mean on Thursday.
On Thursday, great. So just before we wrap up, because I want to see where you're going to lay the stone. So I'd love it if you're able to walk with us to
Are
the.
you ready with your high heels?
Oh yeah, sure. But there was one more question I wanted to ask, but that's fine. We can go.
Where the foundation stone will be laid, as you know, on the drawing, this is where the altar for the cathedral will be. So we are placing a foundation stone here. And to make it very significant, we flew the foundation stone from Israel, from the Wailing Wall stone. We brought it in here and we are laying it here. The reason is because as much as we are building this to the glory of God, we also want to give it an economic dimension. Israel, because we want the very presence they enjoy to be enjoyed here. Israel, because we want the situation whereby somebody is in Nigeria, he wants to go to Israel, he doesn't have $2,000, but he has $300. He still can come here and experience the awesomeness of God right in this place. So this is where the president will lay the foundation stone. And on this land, we are doing something that is very interesting. We are building a garden like the Garden of Gethsemane, where we are going to have even the Wailing Wall and all that right here on this land. And we are going to bring every fruit and vegetable in the Bible, every single one of them in our garden, so that people can come and see what they read of and they have been thought of in their Sunday school. Not that when you are done and you want to have a taste of it in a restaurant, there will be a designed restaurant and a dedicated restaurant that will feed people that want to taste of the fruit and the vegetables and the kind of food that there is in Israel. So there are a lot of interesting things that will be going on here.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think that we are just building a church that people are coming to sing and pray. No.
There's a lot more to it,
It's
but
a
there's also a concern. With these flowers you're talking about, the plants and the fruits, can they grow on this land?
We are bringing...
On these grounds? We're in Ghana.
Israel was a desert. Israel is now the best in the forms of agriculture. So we are not just going to bring somebody from Gosu to come and plant them. We are bringing experts. That is why our architect is Kofi Ejei, the most expensive and sought-after architect in the world. You see, to build a great cathedral, you need a great architect. And so with all the technologies and with all these gardening, we are not just going to ordinary people to come and do it for us. We want to set the base here so that they will even come and share and exchange ideas of how we can replicate that in other regions.
So what's the estimated budget again on this project? Because with all the details that you're giving me, this will be way more than the $100,000 that was said before.
The finance minister never said $100,000. He said $100 million or more. $100 million or more. The reason why we say that is because not until all drawings are complete in construction, I'm into construction, when you have 50-55% of your drawings ready, you can start work. But then you can't take your quantities to your QS. So after the drawing, you go to the structural engineer. He will also give you details of where the pillar should be, where the iron rod should be, after which it goes to the services engineers. The service engineers will tell you where the air conditioners are, where the water systems will pass and all that. When you are done, then you go to the landscapers. So when they've all coordinated their drawings, you take it to the QS. Then the QS will tell you, vividly, this project will cost you $200 million, plus or minus 10.
Okay, so just finally, when would that be?
In the next 2 to 3 months, we should be good with that. And we'll come out with the actual figure for everybody to know. We have nothing to hide. We are going out there. We are talking to our people. We are talking to our president friends and all that who are coming to support us to do it. So we have nothing to hide. We'll put everything into the public domain and all of you know where we are at.
Thank you, Reverend, for your time this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. And I hope to see you all tomorrow, God willing, in the morning.
If you invite us, yes. Why
you
not?
are invited.
Well, for example, $200 million. The thing's not costing 200 million. Well, we just brought to you Dickiness, Mama View Sabwaji. Just went to see vividly, virtually, how the River Jordan is going to be placed in Accra. Gethsemane will be in Accra. The Wailing Wall in Accra. Well, we hope that we'll bring you that commemorative ceremony. That will be on Thursday. The National Cathedral to be adored. As far as we're concerned, the sword cutting ceremony on Thursday will be interesting, wouldn't you say? But still, we'll have more for you before we close the show right here on the channel.
Hello, good morning. Let's talk some showbiz here on the AM show. Let's talk about growing the Ghanaian music industry. According to Yalmini, a UK-based Ghanaian musician, the only way Ghana can excel and gain the needed recognition worldwide is when investors come to their aid. The musician argues that Ghanaian entertainers are doing their best, but it will take a lot of investment to get the industry vibrant. Now, musician Miss Bell confirms that there is no beef between herself and actress Nana Mama Brown, except that they are not close friends. She also congratulated Nana Mama Brown for the birth of her daughter.
I saw the baby, she's so cute, and she looks so much like Max's mother, and I'm like, oh wow, Auntie Julie photocopy. And then I shared my view, my opinion, and then it's a big deal. I got attacked. I'm like, what? Even to say somebody looks like someone is a big deal. Like,
what do you think made it a big deal?
I don't know why. I don't know, because people think that maybe we are rivals, but we are not. Or maybe we have a beef going on, we are not. But she really does look like the grandmother. Yeah. And
since she gave birth, I mean, have you reached out to her to say congratulations? And since you say you have no beef going on with her?
No, I haven't. And she's not the only one. There are so many celebrities who have babies that I have not reached out to, because maybe we are not like close. But if I meet Nanama right now, yeah, I'll go to her and say, wow, your baby is cute and blah, blah, blah. But no beef, and people are evil.
Still on her, recently, when she outdoored the child, there were concerns that a lot of people believed she's over-rejoicing. There was this particular video that...
There's nothing like over-rejoicing. Rejoicing is rejoicing. There's no limit to how you want to rejoice. You don't know what she went through and how she felt when her prayers were answered, or when her dreams came to pass. People do weird stuff. Like, look at the wedding between Kennedy and... Look how exaggerated it was. Like, it was like... yeah. If you have it, you flaunt it. If you're happy and you want to do it, you do it. I don't think she over-rejoiced. There's nothing like over-rejoicing. How she felt is how she put out. I don't find anything wrong with it at all.
Let's imagine she's watching you. Give her your congratulations.
Congratulations, Nana Brown. Congratulations. Your baby is pretty.